I never met Zeev Schiff before I became a Major General. It was my father who recommended me when I was promoted from the Air Force to the General Staff to have a meeting with Zeev. My father, which was and still a very wise man, told me, Amos, you are moving from a very simple world of Air Force, dealing with speed, G, bombs, rockets, that you can calculate to the, after the point, what will be the effect, to a very complex war. World of uncertainty, world of politics, world of media, and the best instructor for you is Zeev Schiff. So I met Zeev before every Aluf position. Aluf is a general position. I did 3 of them. And in each one of the meetings, he gave me a very good advices and a wisdom that I carry on with me along the way. I cannot swear that I remember his exact words, but let me speak about 4 kind of advice or rules that his wisdom was given to me. First, he told me exactly what my father told me. Amos, it is a comprehensive, complex, unbelievable, uncertain world. Unbelievable. This I remember. And you should, the issue of flying with 8 airplanes and solving in a tactical move a strategic problem not exist anymore. Not exist anymore. So look for all or for the main factors that drive the problem and how to solve it. Second, there is always in history something that you can learn from. And history is a very good professor for you. But history will never tell you everything because the world is so dynamic. And the challenge is to find what we have now in this specific problem that was not never in the history. It may change. It may change where the events are going. Number 3, don't panic. Don't panic. Nothing is ever quite bad as the headlines. So look at it and find whether it's so bad or there are some good news there. And this, after speaking about the opportunities, he also came back and say, be slightly paranoid, because nothing is ever quite as good as the headlines. So, addressing you this afternoon, I will try to go with Zeev wisdom and apply it to what we are now seeing in the Middle East. Is the Arab Spring is significant? Here I think we have no many hesitation to say yes. It is the most significant event that the Middle East is going through since the 70s. I think if you take a decade that was so important and influenced the Middle East for 40 years was the 70s. The war between Israel and Egypt, the peace between Israel and Egypt, the oil prices that went up dramatically and changed the resources balance in the Middle East as well as on the global scope, and the Iranian Revolution. All these events went for 40 years, and now we are seeing a new set of events. Are we really understanding where it is going? And here I am much more modest and humble. I think it is only the beginning. The event can yield a different results in the short term and much go to another direction in the long or in the medium term. In fact, the jury is still out, even in Tunisia and Egypt. Take Egypt for example. We don't know yet what will be the results of the elections. They are months ahead. Basically, Egypt is still ruled by the same strong and very much popular army, military, and the underground streams that were before the Tahrir Square are continue to flow, and we don't know exactly where and in which power it is going. The war in Libya. Some countries are very good in starting wars. They are less good in exit strategies from wars. So the war in Libya can achieve what everybody hopes that it will achieve, the change of the Gaddafi regime, but it can be long, it can be a tough civil war, and who knows who are these rebels that, like Rommel and Montgomery, going back and forth, and we don't know whether they are freedom fighters, as we all want to believe, or Al-Qaeda elements that staying behind the way they did in Afghanistan 30 years ago. The unrest in Syria. We don't know where it's going yet. President Assad was quite confident in his speech this morning that he has his hands on the stick, flying Syria to the right place. I'm not that sure. But the consequences of a change in Syria can go both ways, and I will speak about it later. And I want to point out that the two most important countries in the Middle East still didn't see this Arab Spring affecting them. And I mean, I point to Saudi Arabia and to Iran. And with all the respect to Tunisia or to Yemen or to Bahrain, these two countries and what will be the consequences of the Arab Spring in these countries are much more important. Is it a domino effect? Not necessarily. I think the scent of the jasmine from Tunisia is moving east, but across every country, it is mixing with the local scent. And the local scent is totally different in each one of the nations and the countries. So we must do the state-by-state analysis, and not one state in the Middle East has the same problem or the same fundamental splits in the society, sectarian, religious, social, poor, and rich, totally different. And the means to cope with the winds of change are different. In some places, you fire the government. In some places, you send the army to the street. And in other places, you pay billions of dollars to the citizens, and you keep the winds very, very calm. So, state-by-state analysis. There is a struggle over the narrative of this revolution. And those who sit in Tehran, or even Al-Qaeda, would like to see it as an Islamic revolution. as something that continued the revolution in Iran, that finally were able to export the revolution. And Al-Qaeda, of course, on their side will say this is a materialization of our goals. There is the Syrian narrative that Mubarak was removed because he have made peace with Israel and supported the continuation of the peace was made by Saddam. I think on this point we can say very clear that these two narratives are not the right narrative. It is really the narrative of the Arab people care about their own societies and try to change it. Another point which I would like to point out is that this is a revolution without leaders, or leaderless revolution. Nobody can say who is the leader of the Egyptians in Tahrir Square, and who is the leader of the people in Bahrain or in Yemen. And we still have to wait for the charismatic figures that will take the revolution where this revolution is going. A very interesting point and thinking that I have is a group of 3 countries, or 2.5 countries, that at that moment, as we speak, are not participating in this Arab Spring. And I speak about Lebanon, Iraq, and the Palestinians. And when I was thinking why in Lebanon, in Iraq, and among the Palestinians they are not going to the street or demonstrate, my answer was they already been there. They already been there. The Lebanese went out to the street 2005. The Iraqis, with help from a friend, changed their country. More than demonstrate, they fight each other, they paid a lot, and they don't have any desire to be there again. So the Lebanese, so the Palestinians, who went through 2 intifadas. But I also pay attention to the fact that change is usually in tension with stability. And these 3 countries, or 2.5 countries, will prefer at that moment stability, even if it is not the fashion among the nation in the Middle East.